Okay, how you doing? My name is Daniel and I'm going to do a little review of the Osmo Pocket and the GoPro Hero7 Black. Currently I'm recording on the LG V30 phone. I hate when I go onto a review site and they record using an entirely different camera than they are reviewing. What I'm going to do is switch on over to the Osmo Pocket and the GoPro Hero7 Black. So this is the Hero7 Black that I am recording with. I am just holding the camera in my hand, and for the rest of this entire review I will only be holding the camera in my hand. So you might get muffled audio, you might get my fingers going over the mics. It's going to be a real life situation. One of the things that I want to point out of pocket experience, not with additional accessories, not with connecting your phone and having to make adjustments and changes. I want to know what it's like to use both of these cameras here at the beach to be able to just record, to pull the camera out and just start recording. This is the Hero7 Black, face tracking by holding the camera in front of my face while I talk. Okay, so now here is the Osmo Pocket. It has face tracking on. I am recording handheld again. We are going to be doing the same, where we're going to go around the beach and handheld compare the two cameras. I'm going to say right off the bat, they're both very cool cameras. I tend to be pro GoPro, but that doesn't mean I don't think this is a good camera. It's not the right camera for you, not the right camera for me. The actual quality of the video from the Osmo Pocket is pretty exceptional. I'm not a big fan of this face tracking. I find it a little distracting, and instead of now I'm actually holding the camera directly in front of my face, but because it's on a gimbal, it's sliding all over, and to me that's distracting and annoying. There's not very many resolutions or frame rates that are available. You can't make a lot of changes directly on the camera itself. Durability is a huge problem for me. Other than that though, it has a lot of strengths, and the stability, it's amazing. I don't think that this gimbal sliding back and forth is going to be very good for things like motor vlogging, high speed, cornering, banking. The gimbal isn't going to always be locked in. You can probably lock the gimbal because you're kind of taking out one of the axes. This is a very long video. The GoPro, I dropped it once in the sand, once the wave got it. The lens was a little filmy and dirty, but at the same time it's kind of a real life test or experience, because these are the things that will happen when you're using a GoPro, because you don't have to be as concerned about the camera in general. Having things like little dirty lens or sand, wetness, that's all part of the experience. Okay, so here you have the GoPro Hero7 Black and the Osmo Pocket. The GoPro might actually be a little more pocketable because it doesn't require a case. You can throw it into your pocket and you don't have to worry about damage. So here is a side view of the two. So Osmo Pocket and the GoPro Hero7 Black, and I'm currently filming right now LG V30 wide, the narrow. Okay, so we are walking with the GoPro Hero7 Black and the DJI Osmo Pocket on the beach, doing a little bit of a camera test. So one of the things that we're going to be looking at is not only picture quality, which DJI Osmo Pocket definitely has excellent picture quality, but then again, so does the Hero7 Black. But we're also going to be looking at how convenient it is, how pocketable it is, getting to settings, and just convenience with the two cameras. Okay, so DJI Osmo Pocket face track is on. So here we go. GoPro is in front of me, Osmo Pocket is in front of me, and now we're going to do a little face tracking with a little bit of a spinning motion. How well does the DJI Osmo Pocket stick with me, keep my face tracked, and make sure that I am staying in the center frame? Okay, so admittedly, spinning around in circles is not necessarily a realistic expectation all of the time with FaceTrack. FaceTrack does work for things like this, although I still am not a big fan of that. Okay, so where do I love Osmo Pocket? I love the image quality of Osmo Pocket, and I do like a lot of the functionality. And one of the things that I do not like about DJI Osmo Pocket is that when it gets it wrong, it really gets it wrong. I'm down here, thank you. And that's very annoying. But other than that, you know, it does a good job. The thing that I also don't like is that you don't get much background. It's really just my face. Versus a GoPro Hero7 Black, I don't think so personally. But that's just my opinion. Mostly it's because I don't like the fact that with the DJI Osmo Pocket, it's pretty much just my face and nothing else when I'm talking. But the audio is good and much better than what we were seeing on earlier reviews. So when DJI Osmo Pocket doesn't get it right, it really doesn't get it right. So you do have to keep an eye on your screen quite a bit to make sure that the face tracking has you and that it's keeping you centered. Otherwise you can easily drift off, and that's not a good thing. Okay, so now that I've done all of this talking and you've had to look at my big fat ugly face on the DJI Osmo Pocket and also on the GoPro Hero 7, I am going to do a little bit of just forward facing filming around the beach, and then you can make a decision as to which of these cameras is going to be right for you. And I'll run through different resolutions and put them up as a side-by-side compare. GoPro Hero7 Black versus DJI Osmo Pocket 4K 60 frames per second. GoPro Hero7 Black versus DJI Osmo Pocket 4K 60 frames per second. GoPro Hero7 Black versus DJI Osmo Pocket 4K 60 frames per second. Okay, so this is the GoPro Hero7 Black on 4K 24 Super View, the GoPro Hero7 Black in 4K 24 wide field of view. And now I am filming in GoPro Hero7 Black with 4K 30 in the wide field of view, and the Osmo Pocket gives no other option, so it's just in 4K 30. And now I am filming in GoPro Hero7 Black with 4K 30 in the wide field of view, and the Osmo Pocket gives no other option, so it's just in 4K 30. And now I am filming in GoPro Hero7 Black with 4K 30 in the wide field of view, and the Osmo Pocket gives no other option, so it's just in 4K 30. Okay, so now I've applied a distortion lens correction in Adobe Premiere Pro by just dragging and dropping the GoPro 2.7K 24 with linear view. And again, no comparison to the Osmo Pocket because Osmo Pocket does not have this resolution. And now you're looking at 2.7K 24 wide field of view, 2.7K 24 super view on the GoPro Hero7 Black, GoPro Hero7 Black 2.7K 30 in linear, GoPro Hero7 Black in 2.7K 30 wide, the GoPro Hero7 Black in 2.7K 30 super view, the GoPro Hero7 Black at 2.7K 60 linear, the GoPro Hero7 Black on 2.7K 60 wide, on 2.7K 60 super view on the Hero7 Black, with the GoPro Hero7 Black at 2.7K 120 frames per second. Okay, so since we are not using additional accessories or a phone, this is GoPro Hero7 Black 1080p 24 frames per second in linear. Osmo Pocket does have 24 frames per second, but it's only accessible if I connect my phone So for this comparison, this is out of pocket, just using the camera. Okay, so GoPro HERO7 Black in 1080p, 24 frames per second, wide field of view. At GoPro HERO7 Black, 1080p, 24 frames per second in super view. Okay, so now we are back to comparing the two cameras, DJI Osmo Pocket and GoPro HERO7 Black at 1080p, 30 frames per second. GoPro is in linear view. Okay, so now we are back to comparing the two cameras, DJI Osmo Pocket and GoPro HERO7 Black at 1080p, 30 frames per second. GoPro is in linear view. Okay, so now we are back to comparing the two cameras, DJI Osmo Pocket and GoPro HERO7 Black at 1080p, 30 frames per second. GoPro is in linear view. Okay, so now we have 1080p, 30 frames per second on the HERO7 Black in wide field of view. And now we are on the GoPro HERO7 Black 1080p 30 frames per second in super view. Back to comparing the two cameras. Now both are at 1080p 60 frames per second. GoPro HERO7 Black in linear, Osmo Pocket in its standard narrow field of view. Back to comparing the two cameras. Now both are at 1080p 60 frames per second. GoPro HERO7 Black in linear, Osmo Pocket in its standard narrow field of view. Back to comparing the two cameras. Now both are at 1080p 60 frames per second. GoPro HERO7 Black in linear, Osmo Pocket in its standard narrow field of view. Okay, and so now we have the GoPro HERO7 Black in 1080p 60 frames per second in wide field of view. Okay, and now we are on the HERO7 Black at 1080p 60 frames per second. Okay, so now the GoPro HERO7 Black is at 1080p 120 frames per second in linear. I thought I was going to be able to compare it to the Osmo Pocket, but apparently I can't get into the 120 frames per second. Okay, so here's the GoPro HERO7 Black in 1080p 120 frames per second with a wide field of view. And now we have GoPro HERO7 Black in 1080p 120 frames per second in super view. And here is GoPro HERO7 Black in 720/60 linear view. And here is GoPro HERO7 Black 60 frames per second in wide view. And here's GoPro HERO7 Black in 1080p 240 frames per second wide view. So if you like that narrow field of view of the Osmo Pocket, I've zoomed the GoPro HERO7 Black to about the same narrow field of view so we can get an idea of how they look. Alright, so here's my GoPro HERO7 Black. It's got sand on it. It went in the water, still fine. And perhaps my favorite feature that it has over the Osmo Pocket, yep, I can change the battery. That's kind of a big thing. Not only is it waterproof and more durable, it's also something that I can continue to use without having to plug in a battery pack or have something else connected to it, or worrying about having to only have a limited use and then needing to charge for an hour. But as far as durability, do this with your Osmo Pocket and see how well it continues to work for you. Because my GoPro Hero 7, yeah, still fine. And there we go. Hit record, and we're recording now. Let's sync them up. Okay, so now both cameras are synced up, and now GoPro Hero 7 Black is going to take a nasty spill. Let's go find it. You doing okay, buddy? It's doing all right. Still recording, no issues, no problems. So that's kind of important to me. Maybe it's not to you. DJI specifically says in their manual, do not put any liquid whatsoever on the Osmo Pocket, which would imply not even using a damp rag to clean it off. Stay away from sand, dust, water, liquids. The durability is an issue. And also I don't like and really highly recommend against connecting your phone through the charging port. That is an issue. And if you don't think it is, just wait when suddenly your phone no longer will charge because you kept connecting it and hanging it off the side of your Osmo Pocket. Fortunately, I ran out of battery on the Osmo Pocket. I did run out of battery on the GoPro Hero7 as well, but then I just swapped out the battery. So not an issue. It's going to take me over an hour, or about an hour at least, to charge this up, and hooking up a battery pack to this with cord is just a little too cumbersome, especially for walking around. And the whole idea of this is to show the pocketability and usability of these cameras. So it is something to keep in mind. It is a negative of this camera, but it's not necessarily terrible. I mean, if you're recording this much video, you're gonna have so much to edit and so much to go through, and it's really impractical unless you're trying to do some sort of a review like this is. So keep it in perspective. I have GoPro Hero session cameras and non-removable batteries, and they work just fine but I am saying it is something that you need to keep in mind, because if it was an important trip or something that you really wanted to capture, you might end up with a dead camera, in which case just switch on over to your phone. But then again, well, like I've been saying before, why not just record with your phone? But on that same note, you don't want your battery dying on your phone. This is very, very important to you. You don't want to damage it. You don't want to run out of battery. Now you can't take calls, you can't text, you can't go on social media, you can't even play your little games. Time killers are important, at least they are to me. So anyway, all of this is just information to keep in mind. Take care. Okay, so here is our low light test bonus. So what I have in my hand is my LG V30, the Osmo Pocket, and the GoPro Hero7 Black, all recording at 1080p 60 frames per second in a low light setting. So one of the features that I do like about Osmo Pocket is the lamp that's sitting there on the table. I have active tracked on the Osmo Pocket, and I've also selected it on my LG V30. So on the LG V30, I can just push up on the scroll bar and it does this cinematic zoom right into the lamp. And then I can zoom back out, and I haven't moved at all. With GoPro, we are stuck with just the one field of view. Now with Osmo Pocket, as I move, it should keep that lamp centered on the screen. And so that is a cool little feature that I don't want to discount or act like isn't a cool feature, because it is. So now I'm just going to walk around a little bit and we will take a look at the difference in how they're handling looking out the windows, or focus, and also the dynamic range changing in the different light, and also a little bit of stabilization that goes with this. So excuse the mess. And so let's go downstairs. turn. And now we're going to head back up the stairs. And for an idea of how I'm holding these, there you go. So there is a little bonus low light test. Let's go really low. Go down the hallway into the bedroom. No light. Kids' room. And super dark going into the bathroom, which I certainly don't think is going to look very good on any of these cameras, but maybe the Osmo Pocket will do a better job. And then back out to the living room and looking out the window. GoPro HERO7 Black versus the Osmo Pocket.